I moved over here from Brazil, and I'm pretty much Americanized by now, in case you can't tell. It's been over 25 years. I'm now a proud American citizen, and I've worked hard to adopt this country as my own and become a valuable part of this community. Let me introduce you to this word, which means to adopt something as one's own and become a part of it, which is what's supposed to be your job as an immigrant. So that means that I can come over here and introduce you to some cool stuff like Guaraná and Farofa, but I'm not supposed to be coming over here and be an invasive species. That's not the reason I came. I came here to be one of you. If I thought Brazil was so much better, I would have stayed there. Someone explain to me why I am expected to respect and abide by everyone else's customs, literally everywhere else in the world, everywhere else I go except here. Oh, but some people are fighting political persecution. Okay, well, if your land and your country and your culture and all that's so much better than we are, then you stay there and you figure it out.
See you in the future. There is one. Stop the rock. Stop the rock. Stop the rock. Stop the rock. Can't stop the rock. Can't stop the rock. Stop the rock. Stop the rock. Stop the rock. Can't stop the rock. Can't stop.
And we're back, lovelies. Sunday Long Live Radio, live every Sunday of the year, 6 a.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. UK and 8 p.m. New South Wales, live for 4 hours. Thank you so much for joining us. LTO says, Rhea should play some Beach Boys in memory of Brian Wilson. I did, darling, last week, opened with it. As soon as I heard the news, I played Good Vibration. I've got more, though. But yeah, no, I sort of put it out there. I did. Like, I totally did, just saying. I can play some more though, darling. I hear what you're saying. I love the stuff, the poppy stuff, I love it. Anyway, we got Paul English with us. We're going to see what's on his mind today. Hey Paul, how are you doing? And what's on your mind today?
I'm doing great, Rhea. I'm doing great. I've really enjoyed tuning in for most of the show this morning. I've had the time to do it. So it's been good, and the weather's been good, and I heard about your little exercise regime to take you away from the devices. Last night, I had a frazzle of a day yesterday. Nothing worked, so I about 10 to 10, I thought, I'm going for a walk, because I walk quite a bit. So I went out for a nice walk, got back about midnight, was walking through a barley field at about 10:30, 20 to 11. Marvellous, wonderful. It's extremely refreshing to the soul to just get out and have a bit of, I don't know, solo time. Not that I'm looking for solo time. I say hello cheerily to everybody I meet, but you don't meet too many people in a barley field on a Saturday night at 10:30, 10:45. So it was a bit silent, but really rather magical. So yeah, I think refreshing the inner circuits is pretty important actually under the current circumstances. And also some of the things, I guess, that have happened recently, even the Beach Boys thing, then I was thinking maybe you could play Bomb, 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 Iran, which you may be familiar with, although I don't know whether it's in good taste. And also that, remember, I'm just, not that anybody would forget, Trump's been in how long? 5 months? Didn't take long, did it? Really? Didn't take long for him to reveal who he really works for, and I would suggest strongly it's not really the American people, so... not that that's a surprise, and not that I'm even disappointed. It's just didn't take that long, I'm afraid, unfortunately. So, yeah, the money power rules supreme, and a topic very close to what I've been thinking about, really, over the last week or so. You probably think I think about it all the time, and I think I probably do, actually. But, yeah, so those are kind of the lay of the land. Also, the other thing that you were touching upon about doing things is it's driving me nuts, really, all this kind of stuff. It's to really get action out of people. And I guess people don't feel that they know exactly what it is that they're supposed to act on or to do. But it's really to repel the invader, which comes in many, many guises, not only the migrant situation, but also I would suggest the banking situation, which is an invader into our lives big time. So, yeah. That's really what's been going on with me.
Do you use crypto?
Thinking about... no, I don't. I've never really got into crypto.
That's an option, isn't it?
Should I? I guess it is. I just don't trust anything electronically. I actually want to get back to notes and, pounds, shillings and pence and sweaty bankrolls stuck deep into trouser pockets with rubber bands around them and that kind of stuff. I just like life better like that. You ever go to a scrap metal merchants? They've always got wadges of cash. And I don't trust any electronic system. So, because it's who the gatekeepers are on the system.
Doesn't that severely limit
really
options, though?
Well, maybe it does. But I guess if you're thinking locally, why should it? Somebody sent me something the other day. I've got tons of these sorts of clips. Some American guy talking to an audience saying, "Look, how do we deal with the banking system?" He said, "It's easy. We just issue our own money." And it's easy to say that sentence. Having done that, by the way, in the past, I did that 25 years ago, and then having to endure the wrath of the Bank of England, who got very cross, much to my surprise. I don't know why. It's actually fraught with all sorts of danger because the established money power really doesn't like it if you start creating your own money. And that really is the solution. I mean, one of the things that we were talking about on my show on Thursday, just gone, we were talking about a report written in the late 1800s in the States called the Hazard Circular. Don't you like the sound of it? It sounds lovely, doesn't it? The Hazard Circular. And it's about the overthrow of the United States during the war between the states, often referred to as the US Civil War. Nothing civil about it, of course. And there's a hidden banking story in it, as there is in every single conflict. There'll be one in this Iran thing as well right now. It's always to do with this. Always. It's never ever been about anything else much. But have you ever heard of a thing, Ria, called the greenback? Have you ever heard of it?
I absolutely have, yeah.
Well, Lincoln, bless his cotton socks, he's a bit of an ambivalent figure in my mind.
Do you know
but
where
he
the word
wrote
buck
this.
come from?
Yeah, it's to do with skins, isn't it?
Yeah,
Buck
when they were
skins.
trading buckskins.
That's right. Yeah, they were worth a certain amount, so buckskins. I want to read you something that Abraham Lincoln wrote. It's very brief. It's only about 8 lines long. And he wrote this before they killed him. And this is a very important thing that should be taught compulsory in all American schools and even in all English ones as well. He wrote this. He said, "The privilege of creating and issuing money is not only the supreme prerogative of government, but it is the government's greatest creative opportunity. By the adoption of these principles, the long-felt want for a uniform medium will be satisfied. The taxpayers will be saved immense sums of interest, discounts and exchanges. The financing of all public enterprises, the maintenance of stable government and ordered progress, and the conduct of the Treasury will become matters of practical administration. The people can and will be furnished with a currency as safe as their own government. Money will cease to be the master and become the servant of humanity. Democracy will rise, superior to the money power," which is the way to describe it. And the whole history of the greenback is one of these examples in history of what happens when a people furnish their own money to themselves. So all of these sorts of solutions that are being bandied about, oh, we need digital this and digital that, we don't need any of that. We need the removal of central banks, which are privately owned. It won't change. The form of it doesn't make any difference because the parameters, the context that they operate under is we're in charge and you'll do what you're told. And it will always remain like that whilst they're in charge. So, asking them to come up with solutions is a bit like asking the fox to come up with a much better way to make the chicken coop secure. It's dense beyond belief and we won't get anything out of it. It's not a solution, in my view. Of course, for his troubles, Lincoln got a bullet in the head. And so did McKinley, another president that was assassinated for similar reasons. And Woodrow Wilson was basically manipulated his entire life because he'd had a dalliance with the secretary at some point in his past, and they used this against him. So the Epstein model has been around for a long time. And he, therefore, brought the Federal Reserve into existence in 1913, which is just, what's the way to describe it? A utopia of usurers. They just couldn't believe it. And it's this system that we live under that's the great menace. And I know it gets a little bit dry, doesn't it? A bit tedious for people to listen to. I'm fully aware of that. But all my thinking just goes back to it time and time again. The reason why, for example, the American military are out near Iran in all their boats and stuff is because somebody paid for it. And the reason why all these migrants are coming here is because somebody paid for it. And the reason why your politicians lie to you permanently is because they get paid. And most of them are too stupid to understand what they're doing. They're just not that bright. They're clever in a particular way, which makes them very manipulable. And that's the issue that we face. And I think the solutions, or certainly something worth looking at, is local currencies, although I'm fully aware that over here, if you get stuck into that, they'll come down on you like a ton of bricks. So the idea really, it seems to me, is that before you could even put one into practice, you have to do that old heavy word, education, to get everybody up to speed with what's really going on. And of course, people don't like that too much, do they? And they'd rather not. And I think when Katie was on earlier with what is the C word, of course, I thought of something extremely foul when she said that at first. But convenience is absolutely right at the heart of it. It's true. We would just leave me alone. You know, remember that speech from Network with Peter Finch?
I've got it.
Where, yeah. That speech is just fantastic. Is what he's saying, you know, just leave me alone. I want my steel belt radials, and I want my beer, and I want my sport. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. Well, that's our job, is to not leave anyone alone, or even ourselves. We've got to keep pestering ourselves on this, because that really is, I've got nothing else to suggest in terms of the pragmatic realm that needs to be sorted out. I mean, I'm plowing through so much stuff again and sort of refreshing my brain, which has been not in this space for quite a few years. I've mentioned that before, and I'm absolutely loving it at the moment. Just sort of going back over some old ground and reminding myself of how important I think this is, as you can tell, because it's really a topic I can't get away from, because I just see it in every single problem that we face. Most people would be appalled if a whorehouse opened up somewhere near them. They wouldn't be too happy about that. Yet we have banks. Now, we have less of them, of course, high street banks, don't we? But these banks, the essence of the banking problem, right at the very heart of it, is that they charge interest on loans. It's very boring as well. But it's the most devastating disease in the entire system. And it's why nothing ever gets fixed, because it can't, because the money power is the superior power in all of these things. I was listening to someone the other day talking about the political situation over here. I can't remember who it was. And they were going down that route of, well, we think that Reform are going to replace the Conservative Party over here. Yeah, okay, they probably are. You know, it's all been stage managed. They're the next act in the play. And Nigel Farage, no matter what you might think about him, might do some good and blah, blah, blah. And all these things are palpably true to some degree, but they won't make the difference. None of them. And just like Trump has got in and already started bombing people because he's been told to, no matter what people think, he's been told to. They're not in charge of these people at all. They're all actors. The same would happen with Farage in his garage, or anybody else that comes into these things, because they cannot. They're incapable, not because they're incompetent, they're incapable of taking on the money power because they know what the penalty would be. See Abraham Lincoln. And therefore, I think the only solution has to come from the peasants. So hello, fellow pleasant peasants, which is, I think it's the peasants. It's a peasant solution. And peasants need to do things locally if they are able to. But then we get overcoming this convenience thing and this indifference to actually working on stuff. So they're very important points. They might seem small, but if nobody's doing anything, it's going to stay the same. And it's going to just gradually deteriorate in a similar line, I think.
Okay, so what are my thoughts with this? We've been round here before, haven't we?
Yeah, don't you like it? Do you want to go somewhere else?
No, it's fine. No, you got to take a line of questioning there, right?
Yeah, sure.
So I've gone, right, so the peasants don't have much say in the banking world. If we unite, maybe we stand a chance. But we ain't got great history on that. I mean, there can be some pretty big chunks that unite, but like if someone comes along and says something not to their liking, they're out, right? And that doesn't make for unity. So, like, one thing the peasants can do, and I have any youngsters listening, you're our hope, in my view, right, with love, is the youngsters have been brought up with crypto. You reject crypto. Ali Cat's come in and said digital prison, don't want to know. Question for you. In an ideal world, we would all be able to unite and get rid of the scumbag bankers. But we ain't nowhere near it. Like, nowhere. So why not go, well, can we have some measure of independent as a low-life, blue-collar scumbag? And crypto is available for us. So in you doing like local transfers successfully or whatever, utilising commerce with crypto, I see crypto as a tool. It's like a knife. You can use it for dinner or you can cut someone with it. I just don't see it all as all bad. And I just can't get on that train of just chucking the baby out with the bathwater. So my question is, if it's true we can't get near the central banks because we can't unify to enough of a majority, and if that's true, why don't we look at options in front of us and actually give them a go? Do you know what I mean? Try something new and see if it can work to your benefit and other people's around you. Paul?
Great points. I agree with nearly all of them. I think you take whatever tools are available at that point in your life and see if you can make use of them. Well, I don't do it because I get sort of irritated with the whole crypto. I mean, I've got a Bitcoin account somewhere. I even had somebody call me up the other week and they were scamming me. It was hilarious. It was really funny. They'd got my phone number from somewhere. I didn't worry about it. And they called me up and some chirpy lad called Carlos, who sounded completely not like a Carlos or whatever, said, look, I want to share screens with you. I said, okay. I was interested to see how they were going to scam me. And they showed me an account with my name on it with gazillions of dollars of Bitcoin in it, in my name. And I just had my fun with this guy for about 15 minutes and then told him rather bluntly to leave. You can imagine what I said. And it didn't put him up because he called me back the next day. But Bitcoin is interesting. It's when I'm having a go in at cryptocurrencies, I'm having a go at central bank digital currencies. Anything that's organized by central banks means more enslavement. It's not the fact that they're saying this is a solution to our problems. No, it's not. The problem is you. The solution to our problems is that the political and banking class go away. They're the problem. But of course, you're never going to get them to be able to look at themselves in the mirror and go, hey, most of the troubles in the world are caused by us running this scam. And because they're insulated from it, they live in fine suits and in good cars and they go to the best restaurants. They've got this world that they live in. And it's lovely, I suppose. If you and I were in it, we'd go, what's not to like? It's great. I go to all these parties. I say speeches. People think I actually know what I'm talking about and so on and so forth. But nothing really can ever get affected. And of course, the central bank digital currency is a problem. Not because it should be a problem, but because the central bank is privately owned. That's the nub of it. You know, so one of the things I would say is if we can make use of Bitcoin as a tool and it turns into something even better than that, then let's use it. Absolutely. As I understand, so I am told, that Bitcoin is an independent thing.
It doesn't have to be Bitcoin. Of course, I'm still slightly... It can be any means to facilitate commerce that doesn't involve the man that you're speaking about. Let me just get a comment here. Ron Woods. Hey, Ron Woods, bring me some love. Good to see you. If peasants were to buy gold, they would have control over their finances and be their own bank, no third party. Here, my darling. Gold is, totally on board with it, right? And the problem is how liquid it isn't. And what I'm referring to, I think our own little central bank, like personally as an individual, to have gold as your own little central bank is a long hold proposition in my view. Hold gold, but you want to be looking at holding it a decade at a time or through generations as a fallback central bank personal situation. But I'm referring to what's liquid to facilitate daily commerce. And with that, I'm just thinking, I'll just be repeating myself. We've got nowhere near it. Like tearing the whole thing down, which is what probably it would look like, whatever that looks like, be it destitution for like hundreds of millions of people. I think the bigger problem is the human condition of, if I don't do it, someone else will. Meaning, that if we did unify to a greater enough extent to get rid of the scumbag central bankers, they'll just be replaced, because the human condition of, if I don't do it, someone else will. And there's always someone that wants more than someone else. So that blows out communism and all the other socialism stuff, because everybody wants more. And I just think it's more about the human condition than the mechanism and the rails in which we facilitate commerce. So I think it's much more in a psyche situation that we might stand a chance at being successful at than having a look at the actual framework. Paul?
I agree. I suppose the male mind, I've got one of those, tends to look at technologies or structures that you go, well, if we do this, this and this, it will sort it out. We've got historical events that prove it, that show that if we can technically change the nature of the type of money that we use a certain type, okay, and the people in charge of it love it that we use this type of money because they furnish it to us.
Sorry to come over the top of you, but yours, would I be right in, when I listen to you, and your passion for it is admirable, is yours is also, your view is also intermingled with your love of history. So you're always being drawn back in history as opposed to forward to new, maybe lesser understood, lesser known options.
I think, like I've said before, I don't believe there's such a thing as history. I know there is. It's to describe events that took place before you and I started talking today. Everything, okay? The first hour of this show is now history. Everything that we say now is informed by things that have occurred in the past, either the immediate past, I burnt the toast, or whatever, right through to what happened 1,800 years ago. The reason why I think it's valuable is that we've got periods of history, when studied, which reveal that people did solve the problem. And another one came along. It's been solved. For example, in the US Civil War, so-called, the greenbacks solved the problem. It's an astonishingly successful type of money. The people actually did directly own the tokens that were used to facilitate the exchange of goods and services, because that's all that money is a token. It's like a ticket. Of course, it's become objectified.
You need access to power to be able to do that, though, don't you?
You do.
Yeah,
you need to then protect it.
We're not anywhere near it.
No, we're not. We're not anywhere near it.
Here's my thinking, right? With your fascination, or any historian, with love, your love is understanding, appreciating history. It drives in further, and there's a lot of it, which leads to conversations amongst historians where they take from the past and give to the now. My proposal is, how about we discover in the now as opposed to taking from the past, or at least reduce the time period of taking from the past and giving to the now. So there's an element of discovery in the now that's unknown. So we don't know what we're doing. We don't have all the answers and all that kind of malarkey, and like move into realms of stuff that we don't understand, with the possibility of discovering a way forward, as opposed to, like, you've got to know your history, right? I get it. Plus there's the entertainment, interesting element of history. But like, we're not getting anywhere with it, Paul.
I suppose it's because there's only a small number of people who've got a sort of frame of reference to see why it's valuable. And maybe when you use the word history, people are immediately reminded, to a great degree, of their life at school and doing history there. And for most people, I suspect it's not a good experience. Grown, okay. And I would say grown too. I don't remember being 14 years of age and paying a blind bit of attention to Mr. Sawyer, who was our history teacher. He was very good, by the way, but it was just old dates and things. What's that got to do with the price of
Am I getting my point across, though?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I think this condition of discovery is unavoidable. We're in it right now in the moment. All of us, everybody, every Sunday that you do it, you're in a process of discovery. It's an unavoidable, thankfully, aspect of being in the here and now. It's permanent like that. That's why we keep scanning the horizon for threats and opportunities and so on and so forth. Quite naturally, it's just part of our makeup.
If you can facilitate commerce and not involve the central banksters which you despise. Why wouldn't you have a stab at that then?
Well, I have had stabs at that, and they've got me into a lot of trouble. That's why I've done a lot of study to try and find out if there's a way forward without falling into the same pit hole. It's tricky. And why is it tricky? Because we're dealing with human beings, and I'm one of them. And I guess, coming back to the psychological aspect that you were just touching upon, there is a little war going on in all of us permanently throughout life. It's me, or should I help everybody else out? And it's the helping everybody else out bit that produces the happiness. And it's the me bit that tends not to. But we've all got our weaknesses. And what we're dealing with, I suppose, with central banks is a group of people historically down through many, many timelines that are their behavior, I suspect, is not going to change. I mean, I think, well, a great education program, and education's a heavy word, but a way of lively informing, particularly young people, about this situation, because they're the ones who've got most of the living left to do. I don't have as much in front of me as I used to have. Still hopefully got quite a bit. And you think, well, how can we, if we are slightly longer in the tooth and have seen things, how can we transmit that to be of great help to the people that are coming through? I don't think that challenge will ever go away. Thankfully, it's what makes getting out of bed worthwhile. There's always going to be something to actually look at and go, this is not quite working so well, and all this, that, and the other. But the history books do show us that people solved this problem. So the question is, why didn't it last? It's for the reason you just said. People always want a bit more. And I mean, over here, like my next door neighbor, I've had 2 conversations with him in the last 10 days, actually about the borrowing of ladders. I had to do some guttering work, and so has he. And the neighbor that's in between us has got a ladder, so we're all pals now as this ladder flies around from one house to the other. And I spoke to him about a week or so ago, and he was just talking about the country. So I've dropped a few of these little things in, and because I've mentioned here, I do it kind of like, it sounds, as market research purposes. I'm just keen to know what people's level of awareness is. And of course, it's almost non-existent. They don't understand. I'm not blaming them. I completely understand why people are not aware of the problem, because they've never been shown it. The more people that are aware of it, this is me being slightly optimistic, and that look at it, the better the chance we have of creating a movement of understanding that could coalesce and develop into something of substance, so that people deny central banks access to their lives. And the only way you can do that is to replace it with another medium of exchange that you must use during that process. You can't just sort of go cold turkey on the system. I mean, effectively, because of interest that is charged on money, we've got a kind of leukemia, cancer of the blood, literally running through all civilization. It chews up the substance of everything. And people are not even familiar with that sentence. I've just said it there. But these are concepts I knew from my neighbor. He's a bright guy, but he doesn't know this stuff. Like, I don't know particle physics. I'd be lost in a particle physics meeting. Don't invite me in. I'd be a pain in the arse and I'd get it all wrong. Wouldn't be a good use of anybody's time. But this is a really basic fundamental thing in the education system. So it's not that what people have learned is necessarily incorrect. It's what they've not been shown. It's the absence of fundamental knowledge about how you would participate in an honorable civilization. One of those honorable things would be the use of honorable money, and we don't have that. We have dishonorable money used by a power elite. And the more you study history, not that I sit around and study it all the time. I mean, I read it specifically to look at these examples about when the little guy won.
It fills your cup, doesn't it? And I love it that you love it, but it fills your cup.
Well, it does. It puts meaning into what I'm doing today. It says, like, hey, I'm part of a...
I can't help but listen and go, like someone's going, if you jump high enough, you can get on the moon. And we have had a bunch of goes at jumping high enough and we still ain't got on the moon. And it's like, we've got to try something else. We've never been, like, the bank, what was it?
But we're actually not trying anything, are we? Going back to that point you were making earlier on in the show.
I think the answer's in the kids, because they will have grown up around... being able to facilitate exchange without the central banks involved. I think it will evolve out, but we're miles away, because I think someone else will just come along, put together another central bank-like looking thing, and it'll all just reformat and go again.
Yeah, You're probably right. It's eternal vigilance. I don't think we're ever going to lose that challenge. It will be permanently eternal vigilance forever for the whole of all the different human races. They've got to be vigilant with the people that step into power. That's what we're trying to be, aren't we? And it's not all just down to the young people, because where are they going to learn it from? Apart from which, it's a get out. It's a get out clause for people in middle and later years. Oh, I don't have to do too much. Yeah, you do. I mean, I have so many conversations with people, but rarely do people come up and say, what can I do to help? I just don't hear that. I've worked with people before in the past who've said, what do we do? Do you want to do something? Yeah. Okay. Well, this is going to take everything you've got, and it'll be extremely discouraging, and you'll get pissed off, and most of your relations won't like you. You on for that? Because that's it. It's a bit like, you ever see that job advert? I think it was Ernest Shackleton put it in when he was looking to recruit men to go to the Antarctic. Hazardous journey, chances of survival slim to nothing, right? Blah, 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 blah. He was overwhelmed. He just told it straight as it was. We're going to go to the South Pole. You probably won't come back. You'll be dead. Who wants to come? He was overwhelmed with applications. There's a lack of challenge in the world, and men in particular need one. I've picked up this one. It's a bit lame and limp-wristed. I'll accept that. But everything that I've looked at in history, and I didn't always used to look at history. I just started reading about banking. I wanted to know what it was, this force that had wrecked I view it, I mean, it's a bit victimy, but it wrecked my entire life. I could have bumbled along and probably done something professionally useful with my life, but I didn't see the point once all the pennies dropped, pun intended, on this one. So you go, this isn't a good use of my time. And another thing, tapping into the religious side, or at least the biblical side. There's biblical support for everything that we're discussing here. One of the laws that's written in multiple parts all across Scripture is you shall not charge usury. It's a sin. It's a massive sin. And in fact, you couldn't charge it. This is why history is useful. You couldn't charge it over here until Henry VIII. You would get hung. If people issued mortgages over here, they get hung, drawn and quartered for it. They understood how toxic and dangerous a thing it is. It chews out the substance. It creates an underclass. That's us. Okay, right, we're a cushy underclass because we've got the internet and we watch fear porn all day long. But you're at the beck and call of stronger forces. And that underclass, as it were, the peasants, are the thing that forms the proletariat, that awful word, which I hate. And it's the proletariat that then is manipulated to overthrow other power structures, all with, it's all equal and it's all going to work out right. More horse shit, of course, delivered into the ears of people who can't defend themselves against it because they've not ever been educated about it. They don't understand it. So, I mean, I've participated in shows and will continue that are 3 hours long. We discuss about this thing, but I'm completely aware that as a format is useless for attracting news people in. It doesn't do it, and it will never do it, because people go, what are you talking about after 5 minutes? They don't know. This is why when I was talking to my neighbor, that's what I'm looking for. I'm going, oh, look, I've only said 2 things. He's lost already. Right, I need to note that. You can't do it when you're talking blind all the time. When he came back the next day, I spoke to him the other day, he brought the ladders back, which was very kind of him. We talked about it a little bit more, and I was just dropping a few more things in. And of course, he was completely unaware that the Bank of England is a privately owned cartel. That's what it is. All of these things I think would help. They might not make the difference. I don't know what would. I mean, when we talk about power, what are we talking about? If we were to form a political party, a bit like people are looking to reform over here, to come in and actually reform things, I'm informing you now they cannot do it. It's impossible. The honourable communications that they should be making is this. Hi, you've just elected us into power. All the promises that we made you, we can't fulfil any of them. We forgot to mention this because we're not in charge.
And there's no law against it.
Yeah.
Look, question, wait a minute, because you're on a roll here, right? You've been doing the bankster thing, right, a while.
Yeah.
Are you getting anywhere with it?
Yeah, I am. Well, I think what it is it's no... You see, I did do something actual about this before I knew all this stuff. I actually jumped the gun when I was in my early mid-30s and got into a heap of trouble for it. But what I did was right. I'm absolutely convinced that what I did was right. I just didn't know what was going to come at me. I actually did act. We did form our own bank. We issued our own money. We passed checks through supermarkets and
Well,
they
there
took
was
them.
the Bank of Dave, wasn't there? Was it the Union Patriot? Was it came in and also said, he come in and said, remember that Lovely's outside the UK, there was a local guy, Dave, really down to earth, sort of north with an F, and tried to start the Bank of Dave, and it followed him on TV. A news crew followed him, and it came to light that ain't no way they're going to let you in, you scumbag. Do you know what I mean? With your Bank of Dave and all. And that was a good call, actually, if you still... I want to give him a shout out, because it was a good call, actually. It's back in the Rumble chat somewhere. Hold it a minute. Greg, your first question was too loaded, really, if you get what I mean. Good to see you, though, Greg. Beam me some love. Where's he gone? It was the Union. Oh, I want to mumble. I really want to give him a shout out or her a shout out.
It's Greg Meakin, is it?
No. It was Union Patriot. Said when they tried to start the Bank of Dave and they televised it. And he was saying what was going on as he got round the table with the established bankers. Was like, oh, no, you can't do that. On that note, though, Paul, Greg Meakin, because he's asking you a question. Morning, Greg. How are you doing? Paul, I believe we can live in the past, present and future every day. Your thoughts?
I think we're doing that right now. This is why I'm trying to sort of take away the fusty response to the word history. When we're talking about things that happened in the past, they didn't happen in the past. They're happening right now as we talk about them.
Yeah.
Does it matter that a thing happened 2,000 years ago or 20 seconds ago? It doesn't. If it's got an illustrative truth in it that's valuable, take it, use it, apply it, spread it, share it. All of those things are incredibly important, and they're our received heritage. It's the residual wisdom of our people, and stupidity as well. So you've always got to keep your discernment cap on, and you seek to make use of it. So I'm always looking for these examples where the peasants fought back and won for a bit. They did. Things are very, very different, because every time we've had some kind of an insurgency against the powers that should not be, they have adjusted their playbook and stopped the channels and avenues for how you would do that. We've got a situation, don't we, over here, where they're oppressing the pubs, basically. Pubs are going out of business at, what, 3,000 a month or something horrific, or a year? What are pubs about? Pubs are places where, you know, if we'd lived locally, instead of doing this radio thing 30 years ago, I might have met you down the pub and we'd have a beer and a gin and tonic or whatever we're into. And it'd have been probably, you know, a little bit more dynamic because people get a bit more wound up face to face and all that kind of stuff. So, but they were meeting places for this shared stuff. Did it actually amount to anything? No, because we're not organized. And people fear organization. I think part of it, coming into this psychology thing, is a fear of confrontation. So one of the reasons why I think not many people would say to me, and it's not just me, anybody that's like this is looking to get something done, why they don't say, what can I do to help? Is it's not that they don't want to help, it's that they fear the confrontation that's going to come into their lives. They don't want it. I understand.
Let me jump
completely.
in that a minute. Sorry. With love, I see the flaw in your plan, as in you want people to not be who they are. And I think that's a problem.
Well, then maybe it is a problem. How about saying it's a challenge? If we maintain our...
Since the birth of the internet, I mean, that's gone a long way. You know, pre-internet, pre-mass communication, like peer-to-peer communication, you could really whip up a narrative and really unify people, right? But I see it as much more probable. Like someone starts something off and there's not that many things being hammered at people. There was no screen and all that kind of stuff. So you could whip it up, right? You know, so-and-so is going to do so-and-so. What are you going to do about it? We're going to meet up, blah, blah, blah. There were no real counter-narratives. Now, counter-narratives are everywhere. So,
they are. Yes.
Like, I just see... like your approach to the solution is just too deeply flawed. I love that you love history and all that, but I just can't help but think, like, if you knock this down, another one will be built in seconds. Just call it something else.
Okay. I'd still rather have a go at that, though, than just sit around and share information.
I'd
I mean,
sooner
I actually
talk the
think that the old...
shopkeeper into taking crypto.
Well, do that then. That's great.
I know.
But,
do
so
you know what I
it's
mean?
doing-
But like, it's
Yeah.
like some resolve,
I don't know. I
something
mean,
that goes,
yeah, I don't-
yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking for that all the time. That's why I talk to people. I'm going, what is it? Is that, you just go, oh, I just need these 3 sentences, bang, great, I'm there. That kind of stuff. I don't think it exists. But I'm always trying to keep my mind open to the fact that it does and that I don't want to miss it. It's a bit like you're hunting for this treasure and you just stumble past it because you weren't paying attention at the right time. So it requires quite a bit of sort of commitment to this sort of thing. But when what inspires me is when I read about what's happened to nations that have employed this stuff. What doesn't inspire me is what then subsequently happens to them, which is literally they get bombed. Literally, that's what happens to them. So, and it's to do with, I suppose, there's many complex things feeding into it. Do people want to lose the convenience of their lives? Going back to what Katie said, no, they don't. Is it a case that you just say, look, let's forget all this? The truth is, let's just tell the raw truth, and then we'll just assume that we can't change or affect ourselves. The truth is, we'd rather sit around on our brains and be entertained and scared to death by this. That proclivity that we have for bad news is always much more attractive than good news. No newspaper ever thrived by telling you good stories or optimistic stuff. It's always, these guys are coming to get you and they're going to blow your head off. Whoa, I'm really interested. What story have you got for me tomorrow? It better be more scary than that one. That's kind of what the alternative so-called media has become. It may be telling an awful lot more truth, but if none of it is being applied or turned into action, what's the point? It's now become part of the problem, I would suggest. Not all of it, but a huge chunk of it. And it's because there's no project of action at the end of it. There's no doingness about stuff. And it's when you do a thing, like when we did the thing creating a bank and creating checkbooks, which were printed and you put them in people's hands, a lot goes on with people. A lot, very fast. It's not about swathes of communication. It's like, oh, can I use this? Yeah, go on. Let's see what happens. Seriously, and it's to open up the topic. So it's not so much that I'm looking to solve the banking problem, although I'd love to do that, but that's probably a bit of a big ask in one step. But I'm very interested in solving the communications problem about communicating this. That's, in other words, to form, say, a People's Bank of England, for example, which I've maybe mentioned before, and people, oh, can I open an account there? No, we don't want to do that. Why? Well, because they'll come and jump on you like a ton of bricks. But if you hang around in this space, we've got 35 3-minute videos. You can watch them in any order you like. Keep watching them. Just keep watching them and spread them and get clear. So there's no shortage of good ideas. But without power to apply them, we can't do it. And that's why numbers are important, because that's all we can gather at this side. We're not going to get political influence because we don't want to be in that space with those people that are already halfway to hell. I'm not joining them. I'm not going down there. That's why I don't vote. I don't want that on my eternal CV. What, you actually voted for a political party, you fool, knowing full well that they were going to betray you. I mean, I know it's a bit of a cliche these days, but the government is literally everybody's enemy. It's not just a sort of bit of rage. It's true. It's absolutely true. You will have witnessed so many general elections. We've heard all the promises that they've made. Has any one of them, when they got in power, ever fulfilled any of these promises? No. And even if they were to fulfill them, they're all of secondary and third level importance. They're not important. There's a speech that Godfrey Bloom gave in the European Parliament about 10 years back, 2013. It's about 2 minutes long. If I'd had my brains with me, I'd have had the clip ready today because it's really worth listening to for 2 minutes. He has a go at all of them in the European Parliament. And what he says, the problem is, he said, is that you people here do not understand fractional reserve central banking. That's the problem. So is the challenge, Ria, that we should form to try and educate the political class? Oh, Lord. I can't imagine. I'd rather go to hell than that. You imagine? I mean, that would be just pointless. These people are already committed to an ideology that doesn't work, and they can't see it. They're that stupid because they don't have any awareness, because their purpose is to be a professional politician and not, to use a different phrase, a statesman. And there's a difference. A statesman is somebody who's there to actually serve the people, as it's supposed to be, and they would resign on points of honor and integrity. I can't go along with this, I'm leaving. Those sorts of guys, of which you see none these days because they're all children. You see a few. Yeah, maybe you see a few.
I'm just trying to think, where is my problem with what you're saying? It's a bit of a tough one.
The problem is I haven't suggested anything yet.
Well, no, you're educating people with a bit more nuance on what they kind of already know. The listeners of this show, anyway, they're going to know all about fractional reserve. They're going to know central banksters and the fat, greedy Jekyll Island crowds and all that lot, right? They're going to know all that. I'm just thinking, like, it feels like I've got to try and jump to the moon and I can't get anywhere with it because I can't make people be different than what they are. And now there's battling
Maybe
narratives.
That's the job advert.
Pardon?
You want to change the world first, you got to change yourself. That old 60s sort of stuff. Maybe it's got to be that.
It's a human condition thing, isn't it? There's going to be someone who goes along who will take advantage of somebody else.
Of course.
So
you'll never stop that.
The opposite to that is like
you're
utopia, isn't it?
No, it's not. It'll always be messy. It'll be just a mess that you'll understand a bit better. I mean, Katie Daly writes the Kruger-Dunning effect. You know about that, where people have got this inflated sense of their own abilities, and you can't point out to them that they're idiots. Well, that's applicable to all of us. It really is. In some regards, I'm really good at this, and someone comes along and goes, you're actually not. Really? Oh, because you're offended. You either get angry or whatever you do. It's a permanent thing of kind of upgrading your own internal operating system. If anybody out there's got good ideas, I'll happily work for other people. I have no problem with it. That's the difference. I'm happy to do it, or it's part of the difference. It's not so much like we need this thing. We need everybody connected to some degree. And you're right about human nature, but what do? What would you do? You just go, well, if we follow your line of logic, we just go, well, we can't change ourselves. And they're doing this to us. They weren't doing it to us before, but they're really doing it bad now. But we can't do anything about it anyway. So the logical conclusion is, if they actually passed a law next month and said, oh, we're going to be shooting everybody over the age of 65, let's form a discussion group about it. No one would say...
I never implied or inferred that. I said there's other options out there, but you didn't like them.
What are the other options then?
Like, you can trade peer-to-peer with crypto, but loads of people don't trust it. And there are other options out there rather than trying to jump to the moon. And I'm just saying there are other options. And so far, we've got nowhere fast trying to get rid of the human condition of someone's going to come along and trick people and get more money and more power and more control.
Yep.
That's all I'm saying. No, I'm not saying give up. No, at all. I'm just saying... there are options. There are other options, and to dismiss them, I just don't trust it, or whatever. It would be nice to look at options and actually give them a go.
I'm all for that. I can use things that I don't trust or that I think are going to go a certain way. It's a bit like you go, well, look, I think this horse is going to collapse in 5 weeks' time, but let's ride it for 5 weeks.
Let me get a comment here. Ali Cat says, what happens to crypto when they turn off the internet? Crypto isn't an ultimate thing. I am not pitching crypto as the solution. I'm just saying it's an option. If the power goes out, you ain't doing nothing, are you? So, like, I'm not trying to make it into, like, another central bank. That's not where I'm going with it at all. I'm just saying there are other options. We all know about fractional reserve. We all know it's full of greedy, power-grabbing people. We all know as they holding a lot of the cards, they will constantly distill power to a central point, which takes it away from us. I'm just saying that I'm trying to decipher when you speak about these things. And, like, I really think you're a quality individual. It's just what is of interest to you and what is a workable thing. Do you know what I mean?
The last bit's the most important thing. That's what I struggle with as well. What is a workable thing? I agree with you. Absolutely right.
Why
I don't
not
have
try
a problem
some other
with
options?
Because they've got to include everything. I think they've got to address everything. It's not.
No, it's too big. It's too big. Just start with a little thing.
Well, it might not be too big. You see, I can't help it. I can't. I know what you're saying.
Help it.
The best thing to do is you know what they do in marketing, don't you? When they get groups of people, they go, I think we should take this approach. And someone says, no, I think we should do that approach. You go, it's all right, chill out, just do a test. Right? Let's test it. It's the lack of testing, it's the lack of field work that's actually being applied. Like,
I just think we're going to be doing it forever, trying to get rid of that human condition. And
well, maybe. But it's not trying to get rid of it. What we're trying to, I'm not trying to get rid of the human condition. No one's got the power to do that. Yeah, I know. But I think it's not about that. I don't even claim to be able to do that. Neither could anybody else, I suppose. The Pope maybe claims to be able to do it, of course, but, you know, he needs some help. But all those guys that are sort of banging on him that way, if you take central banks, just very simply, there's nothing wrong with a central bank. Nothing wrong with it at all. What's wrong with it is that it's owned by a private group of people and you don't know who they are.
But everybody knows that.
That's not on. I know. So how do we change that? Maybe it's a campaign. You remember Mary Whitehouse? I banged on about in the 60s with the Permissive Society. She got a colossal following. Maybe we need a consumer pressure group, to use that phrase.
Maybe.
That we want to consume honest money. Please. We don't want to consume this filth
Paul
that you keep pouring into the
stab
situation.
At the Federal Reserve and didn't really get anywhere, did he? Darling, we've got to start rounding out. I enjoyed that, and for lots of different reasons, I still have my issues with it. As in, like, got any new news? And I can't help but think it. I'm thinking, we're not getting anywhere with it. Let's try something else. You know, I don't know what the something else is, really. Just... got any new news? That's what I think, right? For right or for wrong, probably wrong, is like, got any new news? Can we try this or try a campaign or...
Will new news fix it, though?
I don't know. But, like, listening to someone say, like, central banks are a problem is a problem without something else in it. But I also hear how much you love history. So I'm trying to decipher between the two when you speak.
Right, okay. Well, as I said, it's a love based on looking at these solutions. It's not, I just want to know about any and every part of it. It's that all the problems that we face right now, our people have faced them repeatedly in the past. And it may well be, I'm suggesting, that people that look at these things suddenly go, oh, that's how you deal with that. That's how they dealt with that. That's what sorted that out. But the world has been very, very different since the central banks arrived. And... you know, they're behind all the wars and blah, 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 blah. I can say that. But the reason I'm having this discussion is not necessarily because I can tell you stuff that you don't already know or that I don't already know this stuff, but it's to try and find a way, a communication style, for want of a better word, that would reach and galvanize huge numbers of people. Now, it may not be possible to do that. Maybe it is the state that people are so embedded in their world of convenience and are so soporific and disinterested and so... apathetic about things that you just go, I'm going to need an atom bomb for each one of them to get them to start looking at this stuff. But I don't know what else to do with my time. That's not a sign of defeat.
We're on a hard out. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's cool. Thank you for today.
Okay, so I need food. I need a bit of time to think about it. I think John's dog has used a great word, and that's curriculum. And that's where probably some of the action could be at when people are teeny tiny, little teeny tiny lovelies, is if you can actually get ground in the curriculum, that might help a little in, say, a generation or two, because they got to the curriculum in the universities and messed them all up, didn't they? Paul, 30 seconds, literally, we've got to get out the door.
Yeah, curriculum's a good thing. We've got to reach the young people, as
all
vicars throughout the
Germans
ages have always
did it,
said.
didn't they?
Yeah.
We've got to go. It's going to, like, just cut us off.
It's cool. Bye. I've loved it today. Fantastic.
Yeah, love it
Fantastic.
too. Love it too.
Yeah.
It's not
great.
just...
Thank you.
got challenges stuff, right? Look, I love you, dude. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I guess I'm coming from a point of view of challenging with love to try and, like, move it on in some way to get some kind of yes. Like we got somewhere.
Absolutely
rather
right.
than...
I've loved it too for that reason.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely
it's
have a pop.
Trying to get
Absolutely
it there, right? Anyway, we've got to go,
it needs
darling.
kicking around. It's not right. I agree with you.
Totally.
Absolutely.
And I can't listen to someone tell me central banks are crap. Yeah, got any new news? Anyway, lovely.
I won't talk about it for a few years, okay? We'll talk about football next time, all right?
No, don't do that. Oh my God. Look, we've got to go. If you could disconnect, there you go, lovelies. There's Paul English doing our best with the central bank thing and all that, and me just trying to find a yes, we got somewhere, rather than no, duh, and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, lovelies, look, we've got to go. I'm really late. Oh my God, we're going to get cut off. And I do it on purpose so it doesn't just go on and on and on, by the way. Thank you so much for joining us. Join us next Sunday. I've got to get out of here real quick. I love you all in the chats and all that. Hopefully that was okay and you enjoyed it. We're live every Sunday, 6 a.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. UK and 8 p.m. New South Wales. I love you all. Be lovely to each other. And I'm sure we can get somewhere with it. We're going to go out with a good timer. And I love you all. And I'll see you next Sunday. The California Honey Drops. I love this. And this is called Tumbling. Yeah, you got to love it.
Every now and then I get a little lonely. Every now and then I need a little loving to satisfy my soul. To satisfy my soul. When the evening shadows fall and my love comes tumbling down, I leave you, baby. When my love comes tumbling down early in the morning, when my love comes tumbling down, oh baby, when my love comes tumbling down, when my love comes tumbling. I'm so glad, baby, I can count on you, girl. I'm so glad, baby, I can count on you, girl, to satisfy my soul, to satisfy my soul. When the evening shadows fall and my love comes tumbling down, when my love comes tumbling down, I got my nose to the grindstone just to make a little pay, and I'm bringing it home to you.